Good afternoon and welcome to U News. I'm Esther Payne with a roundup of the latest stories making the news across the region this afternoon. The Prime Minister's decision to ask for an extension to Brexit negotiations has sparked debate across the country. Worcester's MP, Robin Walker, is a key figure in the government for managing Britain's departure, so we've been asking his constituents for their thoughts.
Well, I think it's a bad idea for a start because, this has been going on for years now and it's just taking a bit too long. The whole government, they just don't know what they're doing anymore. It's just confusing. Everyone's getting confused and we could be here forever. Theresa May's going to beg for an extension and she doesn't know what she's going to get. It could be years before anything gets sorted out.
I think it's a travesty, really. It's got many of the hopes and dreams of a lot of young people in a disarray.
I think that the MPs should have got their heads together. They've had 3 years to do it. I feel that they can't agree, they're never going to agree, and they should come out with no deal. No deal, get out. And I think if it went to another referendum, from speaking to people, I think people who voted to stay would actually vote to leave because we're being swayed by our MPs. They're not doing what we have actually asked them to do.
No, I don't agree with that. I think I did vote to leave and I'm sort of regretting it as time's going on. I'm not feeling so comfortable with it. I think they should leave with a deal. I think a no deal is horrible.
Police are investigating a series of mosque attacks that took place in Birmingham overnight. For the latest, we cross live over to the newsroom to Rachel Turkand. So Rachel, what's the latest on these attacks?
Hi Esther. So 4 mosques were vandalised in a series of attacks overnight, with another mosque on Albert Road targeted at 10 o'clock this morning. Police are yet to identify motive, but have called in the counter-terrorism unit to assist in investigations.
What are the police saying about the incidents?
Despite not knowing the motive, they call in the counter-terrorism, and this is because of the New Zealand attacks that happened earlier in the week, which saw 50 people killed.
And what has the response been like from the community? And what
An
has the
outpouring
response
of
been
public
like?
support has been seen, including support from Home Secretary Sajid Javid, who responded publicly saying that the events are concerning and deeply distressing, and that hateful behaviour has no place in our society and will never be accepted. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Ray. Recent heavy rainfall has seen river levels rising across Worcestershire. Our reporter Eleanor Prince has the latest.
Over the past few weeks, Worcester has seen heavy rainfall and the River Severn has rose in certain parts of the county. The river levels in Worcester peaked at 4.2 metres yesterday, Diglas at 3.7 and further down the river, Kemsey at 5.9 metres. Because of the high levels, residents have been restricted to where they can and can't walk. For some people, it's outside their own homes. As the sun is back out today, river levels are expected to drop, meaning that after days of flood risks, residents can breathe a sigh of relief. Eleanor Prince, U News.
Hilton Road will be closed from 6:30 tonight for approximately 2 hours to allow water pumps to be removed. This will cause a short diversion for drivers via Henwick Road. We'll bring you an update on the weather later in the bulletin. Scaffolding is set to come down from Worcester Cathedral's Edgar Tower within the next week, following 5 years of renovation work. The structure, which has remained largely unchanged since 1346, was built under the rule of King John. Repairs began on the 14th century tower in 2014 and were originally planned to take just 2 years to complete. A woman has died following a crash on the M5 in Birmingham. The incident happened at Junction 3 at around 6 o'clock this morning. The motorway has now reopened between the entry and exit slip roads on the northbound carriageway. A former Greek restaurant will be reopened as a burger bar in Worcester next week. The previous site of Yamas restaurant will open its doors again, however this time as Big A's Burger Bar. Yamas, which was open for several years on Broad Street, was recently closed after the owners decided to shut due to financial reasons. It is currently being turned into a bright and colourful American-style burger joint with work well underway. It is hoped that the bar will be open by next Friday and everyone in Worcester can enjoy a good, juicy burger just in time for the summer. Worcester Food Bank has secured a funding boost to buy its first delivery van. With more, here's Oliver Ebenezer.
The VW Transporter was paid for by a £36,000 grant from the supermarket giant Asda, which also covers the cost of keeping it on the road for the next 3 years. Worcester Food Bank manager Graham Lucas said that it has been their dream to get a van so they could go the extra mile to help a significant number of vulnerable clients who find it impossible to reach them. Food Bank helped more than 6,500 people in 2018, and this figure is expected to rise as much as 50% in the next year.
The story of how a Worcester girl was saved by her stepfather's use of CPR, which he learned over 30 years ago, has been hitting the headlines. The need for public awareness on CPR techniques is being advocated for by medical professionals. Professor Graham Smith, chairman of the Society of Sports Therapists, spoke to us on why teaching CPR to members of the public is so important to saving lives.
It's been one of the key features of why our organisation was set up in 1990 when a young boy, 9 years old, died on a football field because there was nobody there that could basically save their life. And I think that one of the things you have to look at is that this can happen at any time. And we say to coaches and we say to parents, you know, if something happens to you, is there anybody that can do it to you? And I think it's taking the fear away, and the earlier that you start it, the quicker it is. And having the knowledge to be able to even just to put in life-saving breaths at an early age could make the difference between somebody surviving or not. So we would be strong advocates of having it taught as quickly as possible.
Building works for a 98-room apartment block in Worcester are finally set to begin if the council agree to speed up the demolition of the current premises. Planning permission for the 6-storey complex opposite St Martin's Gate car park was approved in July 2016. A number of single-storey buildings currently used for car valeting and repairs will be demolished to make way for the new flats. The latest application, to be discussed by the City Council's Planning Committee today, has asked for conditions to be removed that would allow for demolition to take place and the development to progress. A football match between Worcester Raiders and Busselhome on Tuesday night ended in controversy. With more, here's Dylan Cummings.
Worcester Raiders' 3-1 win over Busselhome was ended abruptly after a brawl broke out between players, staff and spectators. This caused referee Pete Darnell to end the West Midlands Division 1 fixture on Tuesday night. Raiders have a meeting with the Worcestershire FA tonight. Chairman Kevin Jenkins believes that his version of events is different to what's being reported, as he was told by match officials that none of his players were involved in the brawl. However, he claims Raiders are no innocent party in the incident, as some of their fans did get involved.
Worcester City Football Club have announced in the last few hours that they will continue to ground share with Bromsgrove Sporting for the 2019-2020 season. The club, who left their own ground at St George's Lane in April 2013, will stay at the Victoria ground for the 7th consecutive season. The agreement was reached at a board meeting on Monday night. And now, for the latest on the weather, we cross live to Shannon Summers.
Hi Esther. So the weather has been cloudy today with a high of 14 degrees and a low tonight of 8 degrees. There is only a 3% chance of rain today and over the weekend. The cloudiness will continue until Sunday, where it will generally be sunny with a high of 12 degrees and a low of 3 degrees. Well, thank you, and back to you Esther in the studio.
Thanks very much, Shannon. The destruction of 3 cherry trees on Worcester's Commandery Road has prompted criticism from local councillors and members of the public. The decision by Worcestershire County Council left local politicians disappointed. Councillors Lynn Denham and Louise Griffiths voiced their disappointment at the lack of consultation in a series of tweets, with the County Council responding that the trees were felled to relieve congestion. And finally, today is World Down Syndrome Day, where everyone is asked to wear odd or funky coloured socks no matter how strange they are. World Down Syndrome Day is a global awareness day which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012 and was organised to improve public knowledge and improve the rights, inclusion and well-being of people with Down syndrome. That's all from me and You News today. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you come back next week for a full roundup of the news. Goodbye.